Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever walked into a room and felt the tension shift, not because you said anything, but simply because you existed as yourself? Have you ever noticed that the more you embrace who you truly are, the more uncomfortable some people become? That's not your fault. It never was. You see, people are comfortable with what they can predict, what they can label, what they can control. But authenticity disrupts that. It refuses to fit into boxes, refuses to be reshaped by expectations. And for some, that is unsettling. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop seeking approval, you gain something far greater: freedom. You are no longer bound by the fear of disappointing others. You don't need to shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable. You don't need to justify why you've changed, why you've grown, or why you refuse to be anything less than who you are. And yes, some people will walk away. Some will criticize, misunderstand, even resent you. But remember this: their reaction to your authenticity is a reflection of their own limitations, not yours. Not everyone is meant to understand you. Not everyone is meant to walk with you. And that's okay, because the right people, the ones who truly see you, will never ask you to be anything other than yourself. So, if they couldn't handle your authenticity, let them go. Stay true, stay bold, and most of all, stay you. You don't owe anyone an explanation. One of the greatest liberations in life is realizing that you do not have to explain yourself to everyone. The people who struggle to accept your authenticity often expect you to fit within their version of who you should be. They are uncomfortable with anything that challenges their worldview, their expectations, or their sense of control. But here's the truth: you are not here to live according to someone else's script. From childhood, many of us are conditioned to seek approval. We are taught to justify our choices, to explain our dreams, and to defend our beliefs. And when we do something different, when we take a path less traveled, or express ourselves in a way that feels genuine, people start questioning us. Why are you doing this? Why can't you just be like everyone else? These questions aren't really about you. They are about their discomfort with the unfamiliar. Authenticity disrupts predictability. It refuses to conform, refuses to apologize for existing in its purest form. When you embrace your authenticity, you will meet resistance. Some people will demand explanations, not because they genuinely care, but because they want to find a way to bring you back into a space that makes sense to them. But you don't owe them that. True freedom comes when you stop seeking validation from those who will never understand you. You don't need to justify your dreams to someone who has never dared to follow their own. You don't need to explain your decisions to those who are too afraid to make their own choices. And you certainly don't need to apologize for being different. The moment you stop explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand you, you take your power back. The people who truly respect you will never ask you to justify your existence. They will accept you as you are, without conditions. And that is the only kind of acceptance that truly matters. Detachment is power. One of the greatest strengths you can develop in life is the ability to detach from opinions, from expectations, from the need to be understood. Detachment is not about indifference, it's about freedom. It means you no longer allow external validation to dictate your sense of worth. It means you stop seeking approval from those who were never meant to define you in the first place. Many people live their entire lives chasing acceptance. They mold themselves into versions that please others, constantly seeking reassurance that they are doing the right thing. But in doing so, they give away their power. The truth is, no matter how much you try to please everyone, someone will always have something to say. Some will criticize you simply because you remind them of their own limitations. Others will judge you because your courage to be different makes them uncomfortable. But what happens when you detach? When you stop internalizing every opinion thrown your way? You become untouchable. You realize that people's reactions to you are reflections of them, not measurements of your worth. You stop feeling the need to argue, to explain, to prove anything. And in that moment, detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you choose where to invest your energy. You stop wasting time on those who misunderstand you and start focusing on those who truly see you. You stop letting rejection shake you because you understand that not every room is meant to hold you. The moment you detach from the need for validation, you step into a level of confidence that is rare. And that in itself is powerful. Not everyone is meant to walk with you. As you grow, evolve, and embrace your authenticity, you will start to notice something. Certain people begin to distance themselves. Some will criticize you, some will misunderstand you, and some will simply disappear. At first, this can feel unsettling. You may question yourself, wondering if you did something wrong. But the truth is, not everyone is meant to walk with you on your journey, and that is perfectly okay. Growth is a natural part of life, but not everyone is willing to grow with you. Some people prefer the familiar, the predictable, the version of you they have always known. When you start to change, when you begin to embrace your true self, you disrupt that sense of familiarity. And for many, that is uncomfortable. You will encounter people who resist your evolution because it challenges their own limitations. Your courage to be yourself reminds them of the ways they have held themselves back. Your willingness to break free from expectations makes them question why they have stayed confined. Instead of confronting their own fears, they may try to pull you back, to convince you that you are the one who is wrong. But understand this, the people who are truly meant for you will never ask you to shrink. They will celebrate your growth, encourage your journey, and walk beside you without hesitation. The ones who resist, they were never meant to be part of your next chapter. Letting go is not a sign of cruelty, it is an act of self-respect. You cannot carry everyone with you, and you should not feel guilty for outgrowing spaces that no longer align with who you are becoming. Walk forward with confidence, knowing that those who are meant to stay will find their way, and those who leave, they were never meant to stay. Their judgment is a reflection of them. Criticism is inevitable. No matter what you do, someone will always have an opinion about it, whether you succeed, fail, change, or stay the same. But here's something many people fail to realize. When someone judges you, their words are rarely about you. Their judgment is a reflection of them. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that the people who criticize the loudest are often the ones who are afraid to take risks themselves? The ones who mock others for chasing dreams are usually the ones who never had the courage to pursue their own. The ones who try to bring you down often struggle with their own self-worth. People project their internal struggles onto others because it is easier than confronting themselves. This is why authenticity makes some people uncomfortable. When you choose to live unapologetically, you unknowingly challenge those who have settled. Your courage to be yourself forces them to reflect on why they have not done the same, and instead of addressing their own discomfort, they may choose the easier path. Judgment. But here's what you must remember. Their words do not define you. Their opinions do not shape your reality unless you allow them to. If someone calls you too much, it's because they have only known people who were too little. If they say you have changed, it's because they never expected you to grow. If they say you are wrong, it's because your truth challenges their narrative. The key is not to internalize their judgments. Imagine someone carrying a mirror, but instead of using it to see themselves, they turn it towards you, trying to make you believe their reflection is yours. That's what judgment is. It's their own mirror, not yours. You are simply the surface onto which they are projecting their fears. When you truly understand this, you stop reacting. You stop explaining. You stop trying to prove anything to those who were never meant to understand you. Instead, you develop a quiet confidence, an inner knowing that other people's words are just echoes of their own reality, not yours. This is why the strongest, most authentic individuals are often the least affected by negativity. They have mastered the art of distinguishing between what belongs to them and what does not. They recognize that judgment is nothing more than a reflection, and they refuse to carry mirrors that don't belong to them. So the next time someone judges you, pause, ask yourself, is this truly about me, or is this about them? And then, with confidence, keep moving forward. Because in the end, their reflections do not define you. You define yourself. Silence is a response too. In a world where everyone feels the need to explain, defend, and react, silence is often the most powerful response. It is a statement without words, a decision without argument, and a boundary without confrontation. Many people misunderstand silence. They see it as weakness, avoidance, or even surrender. But in reality, silence is a form of control. It is choosing where to invest your energy and refusing to be dragged into unnecessary battles. When people misunderstand you, they expect a reaction. They want you to defend yourself, to argue, to prove them wrong. Why? Because the moment you engage, you validate their perspective. You step onto their battlefield, playing by their rules. But when you stay silent, when you walk away without explanation, you rob them of the power they seek over you. Think about the strongest, most composed individuals you have ever encountered. Do they waste time arguing with every critic? Do they explain themselves to people who have already made up their minds? No. They choose their battles wisely, and more often than not, they choose silence. Not because they don't have something to say, but because they understand that not every opinion deserves a response. Silence is also a tool for inner peace. The more you engage with negativity, the more you allow it to consume you. Not everything requires a reaction. Not everyone deserves your explanation. Some people misunderstand you simply because they are committed to misunderstanding you, no matter what you say. And the more you try to explain, the less they will listen. This doesn't mean you should never speak up. There are moments when your voice matters, when your truth needs to be heard. But wisdom lies in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. If responding to criticism won't change the outcome, if arguing will only drain your energy, if explaining yourself serves no real purpose, silence is the better choice. There is also a psychological effect to silence. When you stop responding, people are left with their own thoughts. They start to question themselves. They wonder why you are not reacting. And in that space of uncertainty, they reveal more about themselves than you ever could through words. Silence forces reflection. It forces people to sit with their own discomfort. And sometimes that is far more powerful than any argument you could make. So, the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself to someone who doesn't truly care to understand, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? If the answer is no, then let silence speak for you, because sometimes the loudest statement you can make is the one you never say at all.